It's now. The time is perfect. We've seen GameFi booming over the autumn and having a strong pullback in the last few days, giving us the ultimate buying opportunity. In this video, I'm going to show you the 3 coins that I have just bought after studying the GameFi space over the last few days, spending hours and hours of my time breaking down each project to find the very best. In this video, I'll tell you what they are and how I came to that conclusion. As well as that, I'll introduce you to an incredibly important airdrop where you can potentially make massive gains for just a little bit of effort. Hit that like button. Let's get into today's video. Now, something very important has happened recently, guys, and it is this. Bitcoin has obviously been rallying hard towards the upside, and that we saw a lot of the narratives starting to explode, but few narratives exploded harder than GameFi. That's because GameFi is the narrative that everyone is talking about right now. And what we've seen recently after this Bitcoin pullback is Bitcoin starting to steady. When it pulled back, every project that was booming around then, like the AI projects, GameFi, etc., pulled back more aggressively. That means that we then get an opportunity to find great positions in them now, even if we missed out on these initial moves that happened over here. Now, as I've talked about in the past, the gaming industry is the perfect place for crypto to kind of come in and take its footing, mainly because lots of people play games and will enjoy the use of blockchain technology without even realizing they're doing it. And that's going to be a very important thing. It's probably going to onboard more people into crypto than anything else. But a lot of people were just blindly talking about this game and that game, and they're just jumping in because maybe some influencers talked about a project. And this leads us to a very big problem in crypto. Now, if over the last few days, you were one of the people who were panic selling out of any of the cryptos that you were invested in, probably around these sort of times over the last few days here, then there's a big reason as to why you were panic selling in those times. And the main reason is because you don't know enough about the project or have the conviction to be invested in. How do I know that? Because I've done the same multiple times, and every time I'm panic selling out of a coin or anything like that, the reason always is because I don't know enough about that particular coin. I don't know whether it's just something that someone told me about and it's just going to collapse, or whether or not it's actually got a future. So we must understand what builds a strong project. And what are the first things we need to focus on when we're looking to find a good GameFi project? Well, one place we can look is over on CryptoRank.io, where you can come down and you can choose certain funds that invest specifically in GameFi projects, one of which is Anoka Brands. Here you can see, coming across to CryptoRank, where we use Anoka Brands as the fund, you can see on the right hand side all of the different GameFi projects, NFT projects that they've been invested in. Why is this important to us? Well, guys, because of this. GameFi, incredibly expensive and difficult to build high-tech games. You need big teams of experienced individuals, and they don't come that cheap. So you need to find companies that are going to fund them so they've got good cash flow. Because while we want small market caps and all that, if it's too small a market cap and it doesn't have enough money, then that game or the company building that game could well pile in. Anoka Brands also specializes in investing and helping to launch new games. In the past, they've been behind Axie Infinity and a bunch of other well-known games in the space. So that's one good place to start. Who's funding them? Who's backing them? Because Anoka Brands are not idiots, guys. They've got billions of dollars invested into gaming and they know what they're doing. Cify is another fund that's had some great success investing in various GameFi projects, and there are others that are also worth paying attention to. So that brings me across to my first project that I want to talk about right now, and that you can see, followed by Cify, has been invested in by Cify, Lit Labs, AAA publisher of video games and backed by blockchain technology. I've been keeping an eye on this Twitter page and it's been growing significantly over the last few weeks and months. And definitely give me a follow over on Twitter, because every single day sharing various different updates on what's happening in the markets, different coins I'm buying, different projects to be aware of and understand exactly what is going on in the space. Absolute no-brainer. I also retweet a lot of stuff that I'm seeing from other key names, and therefore you can get exposure just by giving me a follow, absolutely free. So once we got to this point, remember, we need to know about this project, because the more I know about it, if I'm invested in and it has a bit of a red day, which, remember, on the way up, we're always going to see pullback days. We need to know more about it to see whether we want to be invested or not. We're going to come across to coin market cap. Now, this is what I want to see. Okay, lots of people were like, oh, that's off-putting. It's down 8% today. Love that, because I want to be investing in projects that are down today, not projects that are rallying today, because I want to make money. Okay, so I'm not going to invest in projects that are absolutely booming and have been booming for weeks and weeks unless they've had some form of a significant pullback. Now, what we can see is down below, market cap sat at $12 million, $12.8 million. What I also like to see is the volume is up 17%, with around $1 million worth of volume. That's really good to see, okay? Something very positive. When it comes to circulating supply, yes, it's low. Gaming projects typically have low circulating supplies because they give gaming rewards in their tokens. This is obviously not something we love, but it can help us into the future if that kind of unlock schedule is over a longer period of time. So yeah, from small caps point of view, this is not a bad one. Remember, I'm not getting into these coins to sit here for the next 4 years trying to hope that it goes up 100x. I'm looking for coins that have the potential to see a 3, 4, 5x in a very quick short space of time to get out and then find the next one. Okay, that's what I've been doing throughout this bull market so far, and it's been paying absolute dividends. Also, that brings me across to a point. Make sure you get into my free Telegram, link down below, because later in there I'll be announcing something very important where you can follow me along on a day-to-day basis, getting involved in the different trades and things that I do, sharing my portfolio and so many other bits and pieces. Something huge is coming, so make sure you don't miss out on that. Now, simply, if we want to buy that coin, we then check down below what exchanges and things is it on. But yeah, we're not ready to buy it yet, are we? Because we don't know anything about it. So what we can do, first of all, take this contract address, bring it across to Bubble Maps, and then just crack in that contract address there. Bubblemaps.io is this website. And then I'm going to hit enter. You can see Lit Labs token on Binance Smart Chain. That's the one I want. And then I can zoom out. Now, what I'm checking here, guys, is whether or not all of the supply is basically held in various different places. As you can see, there are a couple of big wallets here, 2.8%. It's not ideal, okay? I would like to have a bit more distribution, but I'm making sure that all of the kind of supply isn't sat in one massive wallet somewhere. That's usually indicative of a coin that can be highly manipulated, okay? If you've got 50% of the supply all sat in one wallet somewhere, then you stand to potentially get absolutely destroyed. This we don't necessarily love to see, but it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, bearing in mind that's just a couple of percent. And in fact, it's on MEXC anyway, which there's a link for down below if you want to use MEXC. So I've done all this before I've even got to the website to find out what this project is about. Okay, so we get across to the Lit Labs website. Now we're going to find out some more information. Now guys, these are coins that I'm actually investing in myself, but I want to show you a bit more of them to understand, one, how we can actually find more information about a project and the kind of processes we should go through, so we're not just blindly diving in. Because if you blindly dive in, you're going to get destroyed at some point anyway, and if you're too lazy to do this little small bit, then you're going to get yourself in a big trouble. First of all, we're looking at a website. What's the website look like? We're going to go and have a look at the partnerships, check who we're partnered with, Cify, some good names to be associated with at the start. Very nice to see. Now, Web 2.5 gaming publisher and studio. What it basically means by that is it's basically transitioning from Web 2 into a Web 3 environment. Something important. Anything that's kind of building towards Web 3, we're going to love to see that, especially as we get into kind of the next few years of internet development. Now, what I like about Lit Labs is there is a bunch of different games that they're building all the time. So if they have a few games that do well, then overall the platform is going to do really well. If they have a few games that aren't so good, that's not always so problematic, because obviously they're only as good as their best game. Okay, if they have one game that's an absolute killer, then they can really progress and move forward. Now, by coming across and selecting to play the game, you can go and play and try it all out for free. Also, it's available on Apple and Windows and stuff like that. So that's all pretty promising, to be honest. If you click on this, you can go and see a bit more about how to play and find out more information from them. And it gives you an idea of kind of the level within this particular project. However, I'm aware of something. If you look at the gameplay that's going on right now, you will see that because gaming in general has become so advanced right now, that a lot of these kind of GameFi project games actually suck. And I know that puts people off investing in GameFi projects and stuff, especially people who actually know more about gaming than definitely I do. But fully functioning games that people are starting to use, which Lit Labs has, actually makes it into something that could be potentially investable. Now, what we're looking at right now, so Bitcoin's pullback, you can see it's now arrived in this buy zone. It's getting bought up quite aggressively. I would be quite surprised if Bitcoin ever went really far down below sort of 39K at the moment. But obviously, I can be wrong. That's not financial advice. It's just the way I see things. I think a hell of a lot of people are waiting for it to crash further because I'm going to buy lower. and I just don't think it's going to come, okay? I think we're just retesting this previous resistance area, which now flipped into support. Buy zone exists here. I think we're going to see a double bottom and Bitcoin's going to push higher. If that happens, we want to see coins like Lit Labs doing quite nicely. Now, Lit Labs, as you can see, has been kind of having a very aggressive start to the year, and wouldn't it have been lovely to get in down here? And lots of people in the comments will be like, I'm already up 12x, 11x. Fantastic, good for you guys. But what we're seeing is a very small cap coin starting to find exposure. What though we have here is a nice pullback. Remember, after that last pullback here, you can see it did around 131% in a short space of time. We're now putting in what looks very strongly like a bull flag. Okay, so this is a very classic pattern that we see there. You can see that this is an interesting area. Eventually, we could well see a break beyond. And this is why I'm kind of excited to talk about projects like this on days like this, not on days like this when everyone else wants to talk about them. On to the next one then is Genso Meta. Now, I'll cover different things for each of them because it's important to kind of have the overall research of what we should be doing. Now, Twitter itself is a very important place to look. Now, a lot of projects we will see will have like, oh, big followings and whatever. Get down below and get into their posts, okay? Here you can see some of their posts. They've got, what, 100,000 followers. And some of their posts are getting like lots of retweets. This is not amazing, okay, because they do have a massive following, but they're still kind of only getting sort of 6 to sort of 10k on their posts all the time. But, you know, they're still a very transparent team. And this is why maybe they're not getting the exposure they want. However, coming down below, you can see they got 40,000 views on their post where they got listed on BitGet. So that's an important one there. 482 retweets and a bunch of comments. Okay, so that's pretty good. They're still gaining a bit of exposure there. Remember, crypto is a really shallow thing. Lots of people are just investing into crypto projects because, you know, they've heard about the hype and whatever. If you've got a big kind of community of people who can hype a project, that's really good, okay? An active community of people who are going to get involved and push projects forward. So what can we see jumping into the platform? Now, you might be kind of mistaken for thinking that this is like a really super basic website, something you might have seen back in like 2010, 2015, whatever, okay? Because of kind of the overall layout of it. Now, into this website, you'll see that the website itself is not particularly clean looking and that smart. But I know a lot of people watching these videos are from like the UK, from the US, we're also from Europe or wherever. We have kind of like a different style in terms of like different platforms and games that we want to play and how they work. Now, you will see that this is a Japanese company from the kind of writing and stuff here. And there is kind of different markets around the world. And a lot of the markets that are using these kind of games and stuff like that are actually from kind of Asian markets. Indonesia, China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, etc. And this is very much more of a kind of an Asian style of website, in my opinion, of course. What we can see, powered by Polygon, this again, much like Lit Labs, is a platform where you can go and play lots of different types of games. Something else I quite like, available on the Apple Play Store, available on the Apple App Store. Now this again is like a metaverse kind of game where you can go and interact in all sorts of different types of gameplay, which is cool because it brings lots of different people into the space. Now, as you're aware from this, guys, I'm not a gaming expert by any means. I look at like Fortnite and things like that, and I have no idea how that game has managed to become like one of the biggest in the world because, to be honest, it still doesn't look great to me. So I guess when it comes down to gameplay, I'm not an expert in any means. However, all of these projects I'm talking about have small market caps and they're in the right niches, okay? They're in the right narrative. They already have working projects. They're already having a bunch of people who are operating on them. They're already on some centralized exchanges, but not too many. They've got lots of exciting things going for them. If we look as well at CoinMarketCap, you will see that we've had a very strong pullback in the last sort of day or so of around 6%. Volume is also dropping, which is not ideal, and we will have a look at the chart in just a moment. Circulating supply, again, like most of the games we'll talk about, is pretty low as well. But it's the chart where we see most of the excitement for all of these projects. Now, this is called MV. So let's just go across to CoinMarketCap here, type in MV, and we've got MVUSD on Kraken. That sounds about right. And then we're going to jump in and take a look at a chart like this. Now, I want to show you something. A chart like this looks horrible, and lots of people get very scared away by charts like this, and perfectly reasonable if you are some of the people who end up getting up on these spikes. Now, the reason these spikes are happening is because of a lack of volume, a lack of liquidity on this particular exchange. This is Kraken, okay? So be very cautious if you're using like stop losses and whatever, but this is why maybe it's worth setting kind of pretty punchy take profit targets that are higher up. You can do that through making limited sell orders, because in the recent kind of days or so, we've had a pump that was around 162%, and you can see it's basically come back down. Now, actually, these are not really worth paying attention to because it's not really the true price. What I would say was the true price was basically the solid end of the candle, and we've had sort of nicer pullbacks. Now, as you can see, this chart has basically been going down, 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 but we're starting to see more interaction across social media. I like the idea of being able to get into projects like this that look a bit kind of on the scary side and maybe have the potential to see a very quick kind of 8, 9, 10x, which because the price has been here recently, we have a fairly reasonable chance of getting there. If you're not sold on it, that's fine, okay? But I just wanted to explain why charts kind of look like this, because it can be a little bit disconcerting if you've not seen them before. Now, the last one, which you've probably heard me talking about before, is Delesium AGI. Now, the reason I like this project, one, still market cap sat there, $16.3 million. Delesium AI is like AI generated NPCs, non-player characters. Now, in any game, you're running around doing whatever, you have all these kind of people, individuals around you who are kind of created by the game, but they're not really doing much. They're always doing sort of pretty stupid stuff. Now, Delesium is different. It creates AI generated NPCs, which means the actual overall gameplay is incredible. Now, Delesium can fit into different games that are created by other people. This particular project could fit in and work with existing games such as Call of Duty, various others, where you have the kind of individual bots and whatever using AI to think smarter, which would be incredibly powerful for GameFi going forward. And as well, if we see AI booming, which is another attractive narrative, I think Delesium could do well. 16.3 million, as I said. Volume down again, 25%, but still, $5 million volume, a $16 million market cap is very good, okay? If we jump across to the Delesium Twitter page, you'll see it actually has a very big following compared to the actual size of the project. And we're getting really active in terms of all this kind of stuff on Twitter compared with the other two projects that I've looked at, which makes Delesium probably my pick of the day out of the three that I've talked about. But again, look at this chart, guys. Lots of people think these charts are like awful, dead coins. I saw that throughout the year, and with bigger caps, we were talking about Gala coin, talking about Algorand and stuff. Recently, these dead coins have been absolutely exploding because they finish up in their accumulation phases, which is what this is right now. And then they get to a very nice kind of like healthy point at which you're ready to start seeing a move again. But we've started to see that move again with Bitcoin starting to go forward like that. And then what we've seen is it kind of starting to pull back in the last few days with Bitcoin pulling back. So in my opinion, this is starting to garner a bit more attention than it has been more recently. And the price is getting even more attractive as it continues to drip towards the downside. Lots of people don't like the idea of that. But personally, I'm in smaller market cap coins like this because I think the potentials of seeing 50x's, 100x's are there. And the beauty of seeing a 50x or 100x is that you can take like 1 or 2% of your portfolio and divide it up between like 4 or 5 different projects, set it and forget it, and then just have a look in like the next year or so. And the reason for that is if those projects go and, disappear and don't really perform as expected, then we're not really missing out on anything. Because if we lose our $50 or whatever, then that's probably okay. But if we put in $50 and it goes and does 100x, then that $5,000 might mean something to us. Losing $50 to try and make $5,000 is something that I'm kind of in the game for. Now, am I saying that any of these projects are going to do 100x? Who knows? Okay, absolutely not guaranteed in any way. Do they all have the potential? Crypto gaming and GameFi is a weird thing, guys. Even if their projects look horrible, they don't have like the best communities and stuff. They're only like one post away from like Elio Trades or Alex Becker or someone else bringing them into the limelight, and anything like that can happen. And that's what I've been looking at today. Now, recently I covered Linea. Linea comes from Consensus. Consensus is the company behind MetaMask, okay? And what I want to talk about is this. They're a developer-ready ZK EVM rollup for scaling Ethereum dApps. That might sound very confusing, but Ethereum ecosystem is enormous and will continue to be growing all the time through this bull market. And I think the Ethereum ecosystem in general will see the maximum amount of growth. But we know there's problems with Ethereum. Therefore, layer 2s such as Linea, which I think could well be one of the leading, if not the leading layer 2 by the end of the next bull market, is a very important project to go and find out more about. It's founded by one of the original founders of Ethereum back in the day, and they're building one of the most powerful layer 2 ecosystems out there with next generation scalability, ready for developers to go and build on directly, and also unrivaled performance. And there's loads of stuff in this, but what I want to focus on is this. Now, actually, they've launched something called the Linea Voyage on DeFi, and you can click on the link down below in the description. It will bring you across this page. Now, what I love about this, guys, while it has already started, you can gain experience points by participating and learning various different things within this ecosystem. And you can see they have various different waves over the next few weeks that you can go and participate in. Now, why might we want to earn ourselves experience points? Well, guys, this is airdrop season. There's a potential that Linear will be launching one of the biggest airdrops ever next year, and therefore the people with the most experience points will be able to participate in the airdrop. Not only that, you'll actually learn stuff about various different things like layer 2s and all sorts of other bits and pieces. So if you want to find out more and get participating in that airdrop, then click on the link down below in the description. No brainer. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video today. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Bye bye.